Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to IRL Season 8 F1 Tier Round number 4 at Zandvoort. I am your commentator and the only person doing comments for today, Jared Felsbury, or as IRL Neon. Unfortunately, my co-commentator can't be here as he's not doing too good. Hopefully he should be back for the week after. We only have 13 drivers today, another, not the best turnout, but we're still going to have some interesting racing. You know, we proved it yesterday in F4. We don't have to have a good turnout to have some interesting fights. And already the Williams team already want to get out on track, and that's Gavin. He started the season, thought he wanted to think he was in the wrong tier placement, but he's been scoring points quite decently, so let's see how he can do. As now he leaves turn 1 and 2, as he's now coming to the hairpin, which can be very tricky around here on no ABS, but on ABS users they could have an advantage. So we could see some ABS users who are not really that quick could be challenging for a possible podium. As we stay on board with Gavin while he's on his outlap, there's a few people on mediums, which is interesting because the strategy is soft to hard. As everything else is looking good. Apologies for the blue screen. There we go. Something popped up. Hopefully the sound is good and everything. As we'll go down the Constructors' Championship right now. AlphaTauri still lead with Matthew Alden. It was Richard, but he's decided to retire. 69 points, 2 wins and 1 fastest lap to their name. With Mercedes in second, who had a good result last week with 26 points scored, and we've got 48 points in total with 1 win. So Louis could be challenging for pole today, as I did see him earlier doing 8 flat. However, we'll go on board with Gavin then. As he's approaching turn number 1, a little bit of a massive lock up there on the right front tyre. As he climbs up the gears into turn 2, 3. I think he has to lift a little bit to stop the car. Another lock up there in turn 4. Let's see what he can do then through the rest of the lap. As this is a place you can overtake if you're brave enough, and I do get a good run. As we go down the nice fast right-hander. As he's riding those curbs and not invalidating, which is good to see, as we saw a lot of the F4 drivers yesterday invalidate, and he hasn't invalidated on his first attempt. Very nice entry there. Goes on the third to get a bit of a tighter turn, activates DRS, and he's coming down the little straight where you could make a move, but you're going to have to be really close. Bit of a lock up down the right front, as he's now about to finish the lap in sector 3. So what time will it be? Will it be a 9? Will it be an 8? Or will it be a 10? Only time will tell for Gavin, as he's coming now around the bank in my favourite part of the track. Here he comes then to the line. What time will it be? It's going to be a 1:09.2, so he's already set the benchmark with 9.2 currently. And the next driver up is a new driver actually, Spreen I believe it is. I believe he's now being promoted fully to the Haas. And he takes P1 with a 9.1 there, 10th faster than Gavin. So he'll be happy with that at the moment. As next up we do have a Renault, which I believe is Ryan, and it is. He does an 8.4. Wow, a lot faster than Lucas Serra, who's actually made it today in 4th place. That's a 26th time penalty added to his time today's race, which is going to let him down a little bit. As Cornelius goes 4th with a 1.9156, as Pedro goes 2nd with a 1.8681, and we'll be happy with that. As now we'll go on board with Louis in the Mercedes, goes 4th with a 1.8771. Not that bad lap, so Louis could definitely do possibly an 8 flat or even a 7.9 on soft tyres if he decides to go on that tyre strategy. As we'll go on board with Michael, who in the other Alfa Romeo is on a outlap right now. Their team is 5th in the Constructors with 35 points to their name. Let's see what he can do then. As he gets a nice run out of the final corner. DRS is activated. As he's now coming into turn 1. I didn't see a lock-up or anything. Have a nice and tidy through the hairpin. No lock-up. It is Michael running ABS. Very interesting if he is. As right now then, down the turn 5, 6 and 7. As he's now approaching turn 8. I would say the names, but I'd probably mispronounce them, as he's now into turn 9 and 10. And he's purple in sector 1 then, so he's looking very confident. How about the little short sector 2? Oof, riding a bit on that curb there, could have possibly unsettled the car. as he isn't purple in sector 2, so he's lost a bit of time. Ooh, massive lock up down the right front, but literally goes over that curb, doesn't spin. If you do that in Spain and go over the tricky curb, you'll go spinning. Although now, round the banking in 5th gear, going close to the white line, runs wide, gets a decent exit. What time will it be? Will it be an 8? And it's an 8.5 there, 2nd place. One, well, actually, yeah, 1 and a bit tenths up there on his time. But it was actually a 10th there, but it isn't. And he will be happy with that. So Alfa Romeo team all looking strong for 2nd and 3rd at the moment. And the F2 champion is in 1st place right now, which is awesome to see as we go on board with our drivers, 2-time world champion Matthew Alder and the points leader this season again. Louis is the only one at the moment who's challenging him. But there is a lot of races left to go as it is a short season. As we watch Matthew on his outlap, taking it very cautious, doesn't want to wear his tyres out as tyre overheating can be an issue around here. And it is cloudy. Is there possible rain in this qualifying session? Could be. As he's just backing off a little bit to pull a bit of a gap. As here he goes, then goes to 4th. Shorts this to 5th now. Let's see if he gets a good exit, as it's quite easily, if you don't have a stable setup, you can spin it. As here comes Matthew then. Down at the long straight into turn 1. A bit of a lock up possibly. Oh yeah, a bit on the right front. It didn't show it there on the camera angle, but it noticed there on the right front as the Alfa there's going slowly to let the other cars through. How about the hairpin? Oh, a bit of a lock up down the left front. It looked like both tyres there actually was locking a little bit. Although nice and tidy. Let's see what he is up in sector 1 as he's getting real close. Oh, rear end there was a bit unstable, so he's not, I ain't got himself set, but he's currently purple. Right now the lap to beat is an 8.4. Right now though Ryan is on another lap, so could we see Ryan take a win round here? Be very impressive. Oof, rear end really kicking out there. As he's now in sector 2 and he isn't purple. 47.5, lock up there, rides the curve, gets a tight entry, nice and tidy exit, no rear kicking out or anything like that. As he's now coming around the banking, as he's getting real close to the line, as he's coming to the line now. What time will it be as he peels into the pits? So I'm guessing that wasn't a good lap and he probably would have done a 9. And he ain't happy with that. Caden is in 3rd place with an 8.6. As actually, is that him actually, if it lets me actually select him, is that him coming around the banking? No, that's Louis actually coming around the banking. So let's see what Louis does. As he's, I don't know, was Caden coming around the banking? Alright then, what about Lucas Serra then? Actually Louis is actually purple in sector 2. Well, let's see what Lucas Serra can do with his 20-second time penalty. Comes to 9th place there. It's not a bad lap from him as we go on board with Rafa right now, who peels into the pits. We'll go on board with Louis then, as I believe the Alfa Romeo of Pedro. But look at that, Louis, I said he'd do an 8 flat and he has done a 1.8 flat. And with 9 minutes to go, so he definitely could get into the 7s, and he's definitely happy with that. Almost 5/10 quicker than Ryan in quali, and we've still got plenty of time to go. As Ryan peels into the pits, so he didn't have a good run. As is anybody else actually on a flyer? Gavin could be, as we stay on board with him now. Ooh, apologies for that, that's my analog stick, I've got an issue with that. But right now though, he's been very stable on the setup, it looks like. Down the straight he goes to 6th gear. You really can go 7th there, but he wants to max it in 6th. See if he rides curb, hits the curb there with the right front as he's gaining on the car ahead, which I believe is a Haas, or I believe that's BLT Judo. Both Haas drivers are new. They've replaced Marcus and Aaron Collingwood, as that is Julio then. Moves out of the way, which is awesome. So good sportsmanship as Louis there pulls to the side as well. Gavin isn't purple, but I think he is up in his time. So let's see what he is then in the final couple of corners. as he's going closer, takes the shortest run possible, and he's only 800s, but what about the line? 900s there, up on his time, so he does a 9.194, sits in 11th place right now. Two people who haven't set lap times yet is Matthew Alder and Rafa, currently sitting in 12th and 13th place. But Gavin there is on a winner, as we go on board with, I believe it's the Haas who's actually next on a lap. And it is Spreen. I do have his real name somewhere. Let's have a look. As he locks up a little bit there into the hairpin, so he's possibly struggling with the hairpin corner. Oh, nice and tidy through the right-hander into the first split, and he's currently a 10th up on his time. Let's see then what he will be in Sector 2. Will he still be a 10th up, or has he made a mistake on his flying lap? As there is a Mercedes behind, I believe that is Caden, so we will go on board with him next. As he's one and a bit tenths up, not purple but green right now, so he could beat Cameron Young, who's currently in 7th with a 9 flat identical actually, which is pretty decent. As here comes Spreen then, around the final corner, gets really close to the line, takes the shortest run possible. What time will he do? And he does an 8.8, moves to 7th place, and Caden peels into the pits, still not happy with his lap, and comes in. However though, Matthew Alder is on a lap. Actually, he's invalidated, and I'm surprised, because it's not actually easy to invalidate around here. And he has, but he's on another qualifying lap, I believe. He does a 17.4. So let's see what his next attempt is. Did he actually, was he on a lap last night? I don't think he was. I don't know why it said he was, but okay then. As rear end there, a bit unstable on the hairpin, so I think he's going to struggle on traction possibly, as there's now Alfa gone off in the fast right-hander. Hopefully he doesn't come on track and cost these two laps, as he's in the middle of the road. Michael though, luckily ghosting, doesn't affect Matthew too much, as he looks like he tries to avoid the curb there. As Cornelius still in 10th right now, but is on a flyer as well, so we'll go on board with him next. Will Matthew finish this qualifying lap? Oh, massive lock up on the right front. He's really struggling with the ABS advantage at this track, and he is on no ABS. See what the two-time world champion then can do round the final two corners. Will he pit, or will he do this lap? He's got time, he's going to finish the lap, and he's going to do an 8.455, sits behind the F2 champion, who did an 8.3, so he actually improved. This is not good for Matthew, especially if Ryan has picked up the pace that much that he could possibly challenge for a podium or even a win today, as he's currently sitting in 2nd place. As we go on board with Rafa right now, who's purple in Sector 1. See how he takes Sector 2, as it's a nice flowing section. Oh, a bit of a lock up down the left front, goes to 3rd gear for the extra turning. Oh, and the rear end kicks out, and he's gone around, and that's his lap over, and he will be frustrated with that, and hopefully he can get around and doesn't get disqualified, because he's going the wrong way right now, and he doesn't, which is good to see. As we're on board with, look, Sarah, is he on a lap? See his Del, I don't think he will be, and he's also lost it on the curb, and he's round, and he resets the track. Hopefully he doesn't do that in the race, because that is not allowed whatsoever and will be penalised. As I know Matthew isn't on another flyer, as I believe, yeah, he's definitely not. It's just a tyre doing the glitch. Is anybody else on a lap? Cameron Young, currently 9th place, and his favourite driver, Max Verstappen's home track he's at, in the Red Bull. So let's see what Cameron can do then, as he's purple in Sector 2. So could you even see Cameron challenge for a podium today and beat his former teammates, as he's now coming on the banking, as Matthew's really slow with no fuel, and Cameron's actually backed off, so I think Cameron was going to pit. There is 3 minutes and 30 seconds. Oh, and he rear ends him. What is Cameron doing? Hopefully that isn't a penalty, which usually gets applied if you hit someone in quali where it's 5 grid place penalty. But there was contact between Matthew and Cameron, and the Red Bull team will have to replace that front wing. As anybody who's actually about to start on lap, there is a Williams of Gavin, who's on an out lap right now, and I think he's about to begin his lap. Both Mercedes also out on laps. As here comes Gavin then, around the final corner. Doesn't have time to peel into pit stand, so this has to be his final attempt. He needs to nail this lap if he wants to make it in a higher position. As he only needs to improve by a tenth, or even a bit more, to move up quite a lot actually, as he's currently in 12th. Oh, massive lock up on that left front. That isn't going to help him. As now we have 11 viewers, which is awesome. But let's see what he does. Yellow's ahead. That's a Haas. Spring gets out of the way. Not in the racing line. Getting really close to that curb, and I think that 6th gear is hindering him a little bit as he's purple in sector 1 by 500 up on his time. So that's good to see that he's purple in sector 1, so he has got pace. How about sector 2 as he takes a wide entry, avoids touching that curb, because you touch that curb you're going to go around. As he's now approaching sector 2 then. Will he be purple? No, but he's actually lost time. He's a 10th down. Sector 3 is all what it needs to be. He needs to improve on his lap, and I think Caden is next. I will keep an eye out on that. As here comes Gavin. Has he found the time to improve on his lap? And it's a 9.1. Improves just a little bit to actually just get a couple of thousandths ahead of Cornelius, and it is Caden then who's actually invalidated this qualifying attempt, and I think he's going to do one more run. What about Louis? Louis has actually backed off, so Louis actually isn't on his qualifying run then, so we'll go on board with the Haas of Spreen, who is on his lap right now. And he's actually backed off, so he's also saving his ERS. Why? I think they're not happy with their runs or something. I'm going to go with Cornelius then. Is he on a lap? Nope, he's actually invalidated. Rafa? We'll go on Rafa then. I think he is on a lap. Ooh, massive lock up there into the hairpin. Climbs up the gears. He's currently sitting in 13th place, and I believe he got a podium last week. Actually, let's actually check that. No, Rafa got 4th last week. Just missed out on a podium. So Gavin's quit then, he's called it a day in quali, and he's sitting in 11th currently right now, which is a shame for him as he did improve by just a bit. Oh, massive lock up on that right front. Rafa's literally pushing the car to its limits. And he's 5th in the championship right now with 22 points. He's got a big gap to Louis, who's got, sorry, not Louis, Matthew, who's got 69 points to his name. And here comes Rafa then to the line. He is going to set a time. It's an 8.293. Takes 3rd place, and that's his qualifying lap over. The next we have is Matthew Older, and there's a Haas there. Made a mistake out the pit lane. And here comes Matthew. Is he got anything to say to Louis, or is Louis going to absolutely destroy him at the circuit today? As he's come to the line, he takes 2nd with a 18.1 there. In 2nd place currently right now, as Ryan is next up. I'm trying to get to him, and he moves to 3rd with an 8.2. Next up is Cameron Young, who does an 8.1, moves to 2nd place as we go on board with Louis, I think. Oh, Louis loses the car on the final corner, but he's happy with 1st with an 8 flat. What about Caden? Where is he on track? He's actually backed off, and there is an Alfa Romeo. I believe that's Pedro. No, it's not. It's actually Michael Royce, who doesn't improve on his lap. And I believe that is qualifying over, unless Lucas is on a flyer. He does an 8.7, but invalid, and that would have only moved him up 1 place. How about Cornelius? He pits. So that is everyone, I believe's laps over. Yeah, everyone's lap is over then. So Louis takes pole position, and Cameron Young beat his former teammate, takes 2nd place with a 18149. So has Cameron actually got some pace round here than any other track, and he will be happy with 2nd place. So who are we waiting for? We are waiting for Pedro and Rafa and Caden actually to retire. So know if they retire soon, because I would like to get on with the race. I want to wait for an extra minute. And they do retire, which is great, as we will go down the official qualifying results very shortly. Well then, there's your official qualifying results. Louis then takes pole with a 1.8 flat. 10th behind him is Cameron. This reminds me of season 6 in France. Matthew Alder in 3rd. 1.5 tenths off the leader and his championship rival. Ryan, F2 champion. Great qualifying today from him in 4th place. Pedro 5th. Rafa in 6th. Caden Forbes 7th. Michael Royce in 8th. BRT Julio in 9th. Spreen in 10th, Lucas Serra in 11th, Gavin is in 12th place, and Cornelius is in 13th with a 9.1, only a second off Louis' time, but a very close grid on the doubt. While we wait then for people to pick us up, as the race looks completely dry, no threat of rain. There is a few clouds, but not as a threat for rain. I don't think, unless we might get surprised, it might be full wets near the end of the race, as it is a 36 lap race around here. Other than that, while people load the soaps, it isn't glitched, luckily. I wonder what the change on this setup. Maybe the front wing possibly could be increasing the downforce, probably helping him on turning, or reducing it for the straights to actually overtake. Because the only two places you're going to be really able to overtake is this straight and the little DRS straight, I think, as the strategy has come up soft to hard. As Louis gets a good start off the formation lap, everybody else just took it slow. As I've got to say, it's not an easy place to overtake. It's basically Spain Mark 2. But it is a nice track to drive, as we will look up on the tyre strategies for the guys who didn't make it in the top 10. Lucas Serra is on hard, same with Cornelius, but however Gavin is actually got a medium tyres in 12th. That is interesting. So now I'm expecting he's doing a 2-stop, or he is trying a 1-stop medium to soft, which could be done. Mediums can go 20 laps at best, so he's going to have to really care for his tyres to try and do 24 and then go soft 12. But I think the safe bet is soft hard. But possible safety car could help him out in this race, and could ruin the hard runners. I could say, or the soft runners. But Louis is not waiting for anybody. Oh, he actually slows back down as he's trying to warm up his tyres. As Cameron's ridiculously slowed down. Hopefully he stays in 10 car lengths, because you can be penalised even if it is a formation lap, as I know from experience. As he's preparing to hopefully try and get his first win in IRL, and possibly his first podium this season, and Red Bull's first podium this season as well. The last time they won an IRL F1 championship was in season 5, I believe with Jack Laverty. So Red Bull then looking to score points, as Louis then is in first, and Mercedes actually haven't won a championship in F1, I don't think, at all. As the drivers then have lined up on the grid, as we're about to start the race. Well, I let go thing for some reason, but I don't know. Other than that, then, we will get ready, as the light sequence has started, as we're now down to 5 red lights to start IRL Season 8 F1 Round 4 at Zandvoort, and it looks like Louis had a great start, same with Cameron, but look at Matthew Alder already trying to fight Ryan, but Ryan just as we go 3 wide there into turn 1 there. The Red Bull of Rafa not taking any victims, wants the position today. He knows he can still fight for this championship, even late on this season. As he's now moving, almost contact there. Matthew's getting a bit aggressive with Ryan. Ryan then moves into 4th, actually 3rd. It says Cornelius is leading, but he's not. Cornelius is actually at the back of the grid. It's further down then, as we will go no positions really changed. Looks like in 10th, both Hasses dropped to 11th and 12th there, and Gavin in 13th on mediums as he makes a move there on the Haas. Very optimistic move, but great move nonetheless, as one of the Ferraris is dropping off. But has that Haas got damage? Yes, he has. He's missing an end plate, as now Lucas Serra is getting overtaken around the outside by Spring, as we are missing action at the front, as Rafa binned it. No, he's made a mistake, drops to 8th. So he did miss that. I do apologise. I was watching a fight further down. Aldo, back to the lead. Louis is comfortably spreading the gap. Now 8/10ths. Almost already out of DRS range. Activating his overtake button, and he is flying. He knows he can win this title this year, as he sets the fastest lap currently since his first lap at 15 flat. As further down the grid, as we're having jostles for position, Caden pits for a new nose. So he needs a wing replacement. And same with Julio then. As Mercedes goes on the hards. Now hards are going to be a push to the end from here. As there's yellows. That got me worried then. It said Matthew's leading. Why is this not fixed? Okay, everyone from second, where it says at the moment, down the grid is correct. Matthew is not. Matthew's 4th. And actually, both Alfa Romeos in a good spot right now, 5th and 6th, especially for the constructors. They're doing a very good job. And they will be the leading constructors, I believe. 18 points. Actually, second in the constructors right now, since Louis is actually in the race. And he's doing a very good job. He's already pulled a second, as for some reason we have a plus and a takeaway sign on Matthews. I think because he's that close or something. I don't know. Other than that, Louis has pulled away then, so we will go on board with Matthew then. Right now, 2-time champion. Currently on F2 champion, Ryan. As Louis sets a new fastest lap, 11.2. Nobody beats it at the moment. DRS is now being enabled, so DRS is enabled this lap as there's yellows behind. There is a McLaren. Is that Lucas Serra? It is. He's lost it on the banking, and he has lost all of his front wing. He's going to have it replaced in the pits. Whatever you do, don't retire. Caden's out. Caden is out. He's binned it in the banking. And that's a VSC, so he's lost complete control of the Mercedes. That ain't good for the Mercedes team for the constructors fight. Oh, and that is a shame. Lucas Serra then still getting his wing replaced. Remember, this guy has a 20-second time penalty for this race to take. Louis then won't be happy with that VSC, as it's possibly ruined his rhythm. But he won't be happy with his teammate retiring. And Caden, yet again, a bit of bad luck, as the VSC should be going very soon, as the car has been removed off the track. As Cameron's actually gained the VSC, hopefully he hasn't... No, he hasn't cheated, he's backed off. So as I believe we will be going green very soon. As we're going on board with Ryan, as finally the delta has fixed between Ryan and Matthew. And Cornelius got to drive through under the speeding under the VSC. Oh, that's a shame there for Cornelius. He will not be happy with that, and he'll be praying for a safety car. However, we're going on board with Matthew, who is in an attack range. He's going to go for the move on the inside on Ryan into turn 1, and he makes the move. Actually, Ryan is still there as we switch to him, and Matthew moves into 3rd place, and Ryan has now dropped to 4th. So Ryan does have pace to challenge Matthew here, as Cornelius has called it a day. He isn't happy with that drive through, and that is a shame there. So we're already down to 11 runners of this race, and Matthew's already pulling away then. So Matthew may have increased the downforce to try and help him in the corners, and Ryan then now in 4th place, trying his best to keep up with Matthew, but Matthew's doing a good job pulling away. And Matthew to his former teammate, 2.5 seconds the gap is. Matthew is in a world of trouble if Louis takes the win today. There's no battles further down the track right now. Although Rafa's still trying to come back in this race. As he's going down the banking then. Matthew sets a new fastest lap, 11.2. So Matthew has got pace then to challenge Louis, as he's closing up a little bit there. Oh, a bit of a lock up there for one of the Alphas of Michael, I believe that was. Gap to Matthew and Cameron is 2.3 seconds to 2.4. So it keeps going in between there. So Cameron's doing a good job to hold him behind. And Rafa's doing a very good job with his ERS, managing it when he needs it, because this track can eat your ERS. And he's trying to get closer and closer to Michael, but he can't at the moment. And this is where the dirty air kicks in around here. As you can see now, Pedro, who won 2 races last season, hasn't won a race yet this season. But he could be looking for a podium if Matthew or Cameron have issues, or even Louis. But right now, though, Pedro is doing his best to try and catch up with Ryan. As Ryan hasn't pulled away that much, I don't think he's going to get DRS from Matthew. He's out of it. And Ryan now is under threat by an Alfa Romeo. Is he going to make the move? It's going to be a late lunge into turn 1. Oh, and there's contact there. Don't touch that curb because you will go spinning. And a bit of a lunge, late lunge there. A bit of contact. No wing damage. And that would probably give Ryan a wake-up call. And he needs to start pushing. But now this is open Michael Royce into a fighting position. And it could challenge his teammate. And they may even actually do the switch, to be honest. It looks like Michael is closing and closing, so he could be faster. And he's got plenty of ERS left as well, compared to Pedro. As on lap number 6 already. As the gap between Matthew and Cameron now, 2.2 seconds. So Matthew is closing very slowly. Around about a tenth or half a tenth each lap, and if Cameron's not careful, he may get caught by the pit window chance, which should be around about lap 8, lap 10 if you're going soft. Oh, hang on a minute, Michael Royce makes a mistake. Here comes Rafa then around the inside as Lucas has retired, and his 20-second penalty will be carried over to next weekend. And Rafa then moves into 6th place. Good job for him, and there's a safety car. Oh, Cornelius, you shouldn't have retired, you would have been saved. And that's a shame, that. And there is a safety car, and look at that. Cameron and Louis' gap has just been destroyed by the safety car, and Matthew will be happy and over the moon. But will anybody pit for hard tyres? And Julio's in. Gavin's not. So Julio's then into the pits. And what tyres will he be going on? As we've got no overtakes or anything, so we'll keep an eye. Going on the hard tyres then. No wing damage. Good stop from the Haas team. Very safe and steady. And he leaves the garage. And now he needs to catch up with the rest of the field quickly. Ooh, cuts that white line a little bit. Luckily doesn't get a drive through there. I know that pit lane is a bit of a tricky one. But what will the race leader do? Will he pit? It's lap 7. Now, if he hasn't got issues with tyre weight, should he stretch it, build up a gap, go mediums? Because mediums from lap 13 to 15 can make it with a push. So let's see what Louis can do then, as he's looks like he is going to pit. So he does pit then. What about Cameron? He's in as well. Matthew Alder is following. I think Ryan is also. I think everyone's going to pit. Yeah. And oh, this is going to hurt the Alfa Romeo team. They're going to double stack and they're going to lose a position. As Rafa unfortunately tries to overtake the Alfa Romeo there, as both Red Bulls double stacked as well. Has Matthew been held up? Gavin's called it a day. Matthew hasn't held it. Why is Gavin retired? What? Alright then. So Gavin then has called it a day for today, and that's a shame. Julio then will catch up, but will he pass Michael Royce? Michael Royce has a slow pit lane. As Gavin yet again has brought up that he doesn't feel like he's right for this tier, and I've got to say he is. He's done very well at certain tracks. One miss up and He's a bit annoyed, which I can understand as Louis getting a bit impatient. And he's actually on mediums. Has Louis made a mistake? He is on medium tyres, it's lap 8, and he's going to try them to take them to the end. Or is he expecting another safety car? Has he just cost him the win? He is the only one on medium, so he needs to pull a 20-second gap at least to be safe if a safety car don't come out. But Louis is going to be fighting tooth and nail for the win today. As I think the safety car will... hang on a minute. Has Rafa just gone off the track? He has. And he's lost the position. He's got wing damage. Do apologise, just replying. Oh then, safety car is coming in this lap then, so as you can see there, Louis is just preparing, going as slow as he wants. Cameron needs to be careful, and he hasn't bolted yet. But he has now, and he is... Oh, has he? I don't know, did he bolt or did he try and warm his tyres up? And here comes Louis then, takes the fast... Well, actually, he takes running... Oh, Rafa... And Rafa's... Alright. We're now down to 8 drivers. Are we going to do a competition? How many drivers we're going to have left of this race? Alright then. As Louis then pulls away already by 9/10, he's really flying. He knows he needs to get the gap built over a second before DRS has been re-enabled. And it looks like Matthew could be challenging Cameron actually. As Rafael's called it a day then, and that is a shame for him. As Cameron Young then is trying to pull away now, 6/10, he's ahead of his former teammate Louis, sets a new fast lap with a 1:11.1, as apparently the pit window for the regular strategy would be open now for mediums. So Cameron was possibly banking on medium tyres. Interesting. As right now then, Cameron is still losing time, only 1.7 seconds. Louis is doing what he needs to do to try and win this race. We've only got 8 drivers left, only 8 drivers will be scoring points. As we go down at the back of the grid of Giulio, he's doing very well for Haas, and Haas will finally be able to score points as long as they don't lag out and DNF. Touch wood. But right now, Haas could score points and get them started in this F1 season. As Matthew then is still losing time to Cameron, and as Cameron been absolutely sweating this track. Like, no offense to Cameron, Cameron's quick, but what's going on with Matthew? Matthew's the 2-time champion, he is quicker, and he's right now struggling. He's in 3rd place, not really gaining anything, and he's just in dirt, yeah. And Ryan, the F2 champion who got promoted, is not that far off, and he's keeping with them. So Ryan could be a possible threat. Ryan is doing what he can just to keep up, but he's already lost now 9 tenths. He's almost at DRS range. Just needs to close a little bit more as Matthew, big lock up there. Ryan, no lock up at all. I don't know if Ryan's running ABS. Ryan isn't close enough. Ryan is still keeping up with him. He's doing a very good job. Matthew is trying to save all his DRSs he can. Same with Cameron in second place. And Louis has already put up a 2.4 second gap already as we're on lap number 13. So Louis is doing what he needs to do. He's got, I'm going to say to the soft strategy, 15 laps. He needs by then to pull a 20-second gap at least, or a 17-second to fight his way through on softs to make them work. As Cameron is still trying his best, but Matthew isn't that far now, 5 tenths, and is gaining good DRS but not using his overtake button. Lock up on the right front. He's trying just to stay in, just to harvest that much DRS, which he did last season against a few drivers, and then overtook him on the final lap. Hopefully he isn't going to do that the whole way through the race, as we have another fight for the down between Michael Royce and David Spreen, and actually Pedro. So there's actually a 4-way battle for 5th place, as we have a 3-way battle for 2nd. We'll keep an eye on both fights. Matthew is still 8 tenths of a second behind Cameron. Cameron is... I'm guessing Cameron's using his ERS on the straight. Let's have a look on Cameron. So we'll go on a rear view shot, which you can do now, which is awesome. Let's see if he's using his overtake. No, he's not using any, but he's not saving any. Lock up into the hairpin. He's now up to 30%. Matthew's gained now 6 tenths. So on the gap is 6 tenths right now. As Matthew is now 6 tenths again. Is he going to have enough? No, he's not close enough at the moment. 4 tenths now, but he's getting closer and closer each time. So Matthew has got the pace to pass Cameron. Gap now to Louis and Cameron, 3.8 seconds and on lap 16. Oh, lock up there on the left front as there's a fight which I did miss between Michael and Spreen. So Spreen got passed by Michael. And right now then, both Haas drivers 7th and 8th, and Alpha is 5th and 6th. Unfortunately, the other 4 drivers haven't got a teammate here, which is a shame. That's back to board with Matthew Order then. Cameron there's pulled a little bit of gap now this time. I think 6/10. Is he using his yeah, he's using his overtake to keep ahead of him. So Cameron is wasting his ERS, and he's just trying to defend. I don't know why. You know, he hasn't got close enough. He hasn't passed you the past 2 laps. Yeah, maybe because you're using overtake on that straight. But save your ERS. You know, if he does attack, then use it. Like if he gets really close. But you're just wasting your ERS and being. Yeah, he's trying to do. I know what he's trying to do. He's trying to pull away, but it's not helping. Matthew is just matching him, even with overtake. And this is how good Matthew can adapt to a driver. He's just easily, you know, flowing through the section, not making any mistake at all. Gap to Cameron and Louis now 4.3 seconds, and rising. As Matthew is 6 to 5 tenths now, so and Cameron's still using his ERS. Matthew is in striking distance. I'm guessing lap 20 to 21 he'll make the move, possibly, if he gets close enough. He could even make the move this lap, actually, because he's getting really close. Oh, bit of the rear end kicking out. I think it's a bit too late now, Cameron's state of ERS, to be honest. Matthew is closing 5 tenths. If he knows he can take second, he needs a second for the championship's sake. Just so then he's only losing 7 points. But right now, although he would lose an 8, I believe, since Louis got the fastest lap. And also, Louis may have to pit. Gap stabilised now between Louis and Cameron, 4.5 seconds. That is interesting. So maybe those memes are now starting to die off already. Maybe that 2-stop strategy, what Louis may be trying, or trying to stretch those mediums to the best as he can, isn't going to work. Four tenths now, Matthew, really closing the gap now. He's really pushing the car to its limits. And you see Ryan can't even keep up with them now. 1.5 seconds behind. Oh, bit of a lock up there from Matthew. Probably going to save Cameron a little bit now. Gap 7 tenths. It's opened back up. Really bouncing over that curb. Cameron is in deep trouble now. Gap to Cameron and Louis, 4.9 seconds, almost 5 seconds the gap is. Matthew just looks a lot more confident. So we'll go on a rear shot again of Cameron and see. Let's see how much Matthew gains on the traction. Oh, Cameron there, rear end's a bit unstable again. And Matthew is closing and closing and closing. And now 3/10. He's surely going to make the move soon if he doesn't make a mistake. This could be the best result Cameron could have though this season. Unless he improves even more and gets a win. Where Matthew and Louis unfortunately DNF. Right now Louis is on a form now. 5.4 seconds in a lap. So he's improved 0.5 there. Oh, bit of a lock-up from Cameron. Cameron's now starting to feel Matthew breathing behind him. Gap is 4.5. All Matthew needs to do is stay within that gap and attack. Cameron may have 20% ERS. Matthew has 60. As they close and close. What about Matthew now as we go and stay on the race? Shot. Is Matthew attacking? He's getting closer and closer and closer. Very close now. But he isn't going. Oh, he was stinking possibly to go for a late lunge. Cameron is really feeling the pressure. He's starting to struggle and is currently in threat from losing the position as we now jump on board with Matthew Alder. As look at that, he's got a lot more pace, a lot more speed, and look at that 70% ERS compared to Cameron's 16 he had on the straight. Now between Cameron and Louis now 5.7 seconds. Lap 21 of this race, and I said around about lap 21 Matthew will probably be in striking distance. He's lost a bit of time, but possibly may gain it back as he's not really locking up that much. Cameron is, he's really struggling for grip, but he gets a better exit out of there. Matthew uses a little bit of overtake just to stay with him, not lose time. As he's 5/10 at the moment, as we might have a fight between for 4th place actually between Pedro and Ryan. Gap now 6/10 separating them two. As we'll see how F2's doing in the other division. So they still have 13 drivers remaining, which is awesome. Gap 3/10 again. Matthew is just clawing, and he's used his overtake this time finally. He's used a little bit of it, so he may have made a mistake and caught up. What about Cameron? He's got 20%. He's still doing a good job holding the position, but he's losing time now. But the gap between him and the leader is stabilised. 5.5 seconds. Slows mediums won't be fresh or won't be working as they were optimal, and he may now start losing time compared to the hards, and Louis may need to pit. As Matthew's a bit too far back, as we're going to go on board with Pedro now. He isn't that far back, and he's gaining a lot of time, but he isn't using his. Why don't people use the overtake on the straight, the close, and possibly go for a lunge? Bit of a lock up there. Ryan scrapes the curb, but pulls away. Pedro then in 5th place, trying to close up. Matthew and Cameron still stabilised now, 7/10 as Louis now put away from Cameron. Now 5.9 seconds, almost 6 seconds. Not good enough if he's doing the 2-stop. As Pedro then is staying 6/10, now 5/10 out of that exit. Is he going to go for the attack this time? He's not using his overtake. He's using DRS though. Isn't close enough. I think too far back. I think he needs to be at least 4 to 3/10 the gap. As Pedro then in 5th place is doing what he can to stay with Ryan. This is basically like the situation with 2nd place, but the gap between 1st and Cameron now is 6.1 seconds, and he's in. Louis is in. So Louis made a mistake on a mediums. He couldn't pull the 2-stop, and he's now possibly cost himself the win. He could really have now lost the win. And Cameron, I can't believe I'm saying this, but Cameron Young could win this race. Gap now 4 tenths between him and Matthew. So Matthew may now realise Louis' pit. He knows he can gain points, but he wants more. He wants the maximum points he can score. Louis, though, on soft tyres, not that far off. Gap to leader from him is 7.8 seconds, so he could still be in this race, but he needs to make his way through the field. There's enough laps to do it. Although Cameron is sitting in the top step at the moment. Could the young Welshman do it? Could he finally beat his former teammate in a race? Matthew could be seeing dreams come true for Cameron, but he knows he could ruin those dreams and easily take the win if he starts to push. Gap now 5 tenths. As Cameron saved enough ARS this time, he's got over 30%, so he is gradually saving. Louis is already 8 tenths behind Michael Royce. We will go on board with that very shortly. I don't think Matthew's going to make a move, and I'm going to have to go on board with the fight behind. As no overtake at the moment from Louis. As we'll keep an eye on Matthew. If he's going to get closer, not at the moment. Not going to make a lunge into the hairpin. But what about Louis? He's getting really close to Michael Royce, and if I was at Michael, I'd just let him through, you know, let him through, fight the 2 leads, and it could possibly help him. As look at this, Louis really pushing the car, already on 20% ERS. Matthew 3 tenths, now back to 4, now back to 5, so he's made a little error there, maybe with a dirty air, but Michael is in trouble now. Louis is gaining and gaining. Louis, purple, sector 1, he's faster and faster. Michael's just holding him up, and he could just pull away. You can just see there, Louis is a lot more aggressive. He's going for a lunge down the inside. Oh, and there's contact there between Michael and Louis. Doesn't spin him, luckily. Good reactions from Louis there, and he now drops a couple of tenths down, and that's probably going to cost him the win if necessary. But I think that was a late, half-hearted move to go for that lunge. You know, he should have probably stuck it there, and if there was contact you spun, then it would have been reported, and Michael would have possibly got a penalty. As Louis picks up a penalty. Louis has picked up a penalty. This isn't good news for him. And how can you pick up a penalty at this track? It's not easy to corner cut. The only place I'd expect you to corner cut is that chicane. But he hasn't done it, and he's losing time now. Back to the battle for 1st place. Matthew and Cameron is still fighting it out. Cameron can now just see the finish line. He could just see the finish line, not that far ahead. Matthew is doing everything in his power just to close enough to just attack. As we go back to Louis now, 2 tenths. That's how close Matthew needs to be. Oh, and Louis, I think, has just ruined his race. If he stayed on hards, he possibly could have won. But that 3-second penalty isn't going to help. He's trying it round the outside to get a better run. He's going to go in 4th. Activates DRS, overtake, and he's going for it. Michael, that's a defending move. And he gives him the place. He gives him the position as he realised he couldn't make another defence move, though. Back between Matthew now, though. Is he close enough to Cameron Young? 4 tenths. 3 tenths. He's now seen the green light. Cameron is defended. That's 1 defensive move. That's 2. That was 2 there. He made 2 little moves, and that was 2 defensive. Could be reported if Matthew feels that it could affect him or anything. But Matthew set the fastest lap, 10.9 on used hards, 19 lap old. Good lap there from Matthew Older, and he's really picking up the pace. He knows he can challenge Cameron. As we go back on board with Louis now in 5th place, really closing up to Ryan and Pedro. As we could even see Ryan take 3rd place. He's lost the position. Ryan, no, you're not. Ryan's getting really close to that gearbox, almost touching it, and could move to 3rd. No, he stays behind at the moment, but look at Louis. He's getting aggressive, wants the position. He knows he's faster than these 2. These 2 are just holding him up and helping Matthew and Cameron. We've got lap 28 out of 36. Louis thinking about doing the same move. Ryan giving him the space. Ryan doesn't get a good exit. Here comes Louis. Goes on the outside now. Makes the move. Has he got it on position? Ryan gives him the position. Quite easy. Doesn't want to really attack. that much. Louis' next target is Pedro, but what about Matthew? He is closer and closer now to Cameron. As we're going to go on Cameron and look on the race shot. Let's see how close the sister team of the Red Bull closes, and not enough. What about Louis? Louis is gaining and gaining and gaining and gaining, and he's done it. He's going on the inside. Has he got the position? Yes, he has. Great break in there to make the corner and move into third place from Louis. Now he needs to push 5.8 seconds and close the gap, and then increase past him and increase the gap to over 3 seconds. As the gap is actually getting closed quite quickly now. 5.4 seconds it was then. But Cameron is doing everything he can. He has learned from Matthew how to defend, where to place the car. As the weather maybe now looks like it's getting darker. I'm not saying too dark, but it is getting a little bit darker. Was there a possibility of rain? Maybe is that why Louis went on mediums? Cameron's really getting close to that white line and pulls away. I think he's safe this time out. 6/10 the gap is. And he's safe. He held his position this time. Louis hits a new fastest lap, 10.7. Matthew did a 10.9, so only 2/10 quicker on fresh air and soft tyres. So that's how much tyre life Louis has lost. He's only matching 20 lap old hard tyres time. And he's gained 4.7 seconds, and he's already put a second to Pedro now. So Louis is really pushing the car as much as he can. As we're on lap number 30, 7 laps left. As the crowd is just waiting to see who's going to win this race, and Julio pits then, so he's going to go for fastest lap in the Haas. His fastest lap currently is a 1:11.5, so not that far off actually, only a second, so I think he could find that second on soft, so he could steal the fastest lap from Matthew and Louis, as Cameron is safe still this time. Gap now 4.5 seconds from Matthew to Louis. Louis isn't closing quick enough. .4 seconds now. These hards are going to do over 20 laps. So that's interesting. I don't know how long hards can go around here. I don't know if it's like what track is it where hards can go the whole race. I can't remember what track it is, but there's a track where the hards can go from basically lap 5 all the way to the end of I believe a 30 lap race. But right now these hards, I've noticed, are starting to get a bit of blisters on them, a bit of wear. So maybe Louis pulled it a masterclass strategy. Possibly he's possibly expecting these two to get a puncher, which could happen, to be fair. It is not the easiest track. It's basically like Singapore with a tyre overheating on the banking on the left front. And that left front on Matthews does not look pretty. It looks a lot of tyre wears on it, but he's closing on Cameron and he's just doing what he needs to do. As Ryan pits then, so he's now going for the fastest lap on soft tyres. He's got a 13-second gap. There ain't enough time, there ain't enough laps to catch the top two. Sorry, not top two, fourth and fifth. And he was looking for a podium in this race. Oh, Cameron made a mistake. Is that costly? No, Matthew is 3/10 now. Julius, this new fast lap, 10.3, quicker than Louis. A lot quicker than Louis. So, was Louis just destroyed his tyres, but look how close Matthew is. Has Cameron now bottled? Has Cameron bottled this race? Matthew is closer and closer. Gap to Matthew and Louis though, 2.9 seconds. We'll go on board with Cameron Young. He's getting closer and closer to Matthew is. Really close, but holds the position. That mistake holds it for now. Matthew really getting closer. I think Matthew's going to wait on the final lap, possibly. But he can't wait too long. Gap 2.9 seconds between Louis. Louis needs only an extra lap of battling, and he will be in striking distance. As Michael Reutz now peels into the pits and lost track position to Ryan. And he's also on for the fastest lap, so I think people want the extra fastest lap point and stop Louis or Matthew getting it, or Julio. So we probably could see a 9 possibly on the fastest lap cards. As Matthew 4 tenths, Louis 2.3 off Matthew. He's getting closer and closer. Lap 33. We're about to start lap number 34. Who's going to win this race? Will it be Matthew? Will it be Cameron? Or will it be Louis? Have Matthew and Cameron got surprise penalties which we don't know about? The only big penalty what was meant to have in this race was the McLaren driver Lucas Serra. He had a 20-second time penalty, but with DNF, so it will be carried over to the next weekend. Gap is 3 tenths. Matthew is trying everything, but he's not using his overtake button. He's got plenty of ERS. Use it before Louis catches you. I know he's got a penalty, but just get the position. Ryan sets 10.3. New fastest lap. 1.9 seconds. Is Louis going to catch up on the final lap? Those hards must be absolutely destroyed right now if they're losing this much time against 8-lap old soft tyres. Matthew's gained though 2 tenths, 3 tenths. If Matthew gets good traction, he could strike. I think Matthew's going to get the position if he gets a good exit at the final corner. Not that much, but he's closer as he's been. And he's going for it. Overtake is activated. Matthew Order, the 2-time champion Cameron, defends on the inside. Matthew goes on the outside and takes the position and destroys Cameron's dreams of winning a race. But Matthew takes the win at the moment. Sorry, takes the lead, not the win. He takes the lead at the moment. 3 tenths. Cameron's still got a chance. He's really got to get really close into the hairpin. He now can save his ERS as won the penultimate lap of this race. But Matthew has pulled away a little bit. 3 tenths. So as the pressure got too much to Cameron Young. Louis 1.4 seconds off. He's so close. Cameron isn't close. 4 tenths, 5 tenths. Cameron hasn't got enough ERS. Matthew has. So Matthew can basically just relax, have a beer, and just chill out. Gap Louis, 9 tenths. 9 tenths is Louis. Could be in striking distance next lap. The final lap of this race has begun. Who's going to win? Will it be Matthew? Will it be Cameron? Or will it be Louis? If these two have got ahead, have got surprise penalties, which I don't think they have. So can Cameron hold his own? Can he take the win of this race and overtake Matthew again? Or will Matthew show him that he still needs a bit more skill, a little bit more patience to take the win? As Michael Royce does a 10 flat, almost in the 9s, unfortunately doesn't make it there. And Iver Sprain's also on fresh softs in 7th place currently, so we could possibly see even a faster lap time. As Louis really close, 8 tenths. He would need an extra lap. 10 lap old softs compared to 27 lap old hards. Those hards should be dead. It's going to be a race of the line though between Cameron and Matthew Older. He's only 10% down on his DRS. Who's going to win this race then? As we go on board with Matthew, who's already activating his DRS and is going around the final corner. Who is going to win as we come down to the line? And it's Matthew Older takes the win. Louis takes 3rd. Cameron takes 2nd. And Pedro is going to take 4th place. as Ryan is going to round up the grid in 5th in the Renault. Strong outing for him today and more points to the board. And it takes 5th. Michael Royce in 6th. Michael Royce in 5th. Ryan drops to 6th, and so he had a surprising penalty. As David Spreen then, I believe, or Spreen, is 7th place in the Haas. He's going to score points for the Haas team today, as they've been on 0 for the past 3 rounds. And as soon as the Haas did the replacement, they've instantly scored points. Both drivers going to score points in their first round this season. And it's good to see, as he now takes P7. And closes the gap, I believe, a little bit, as Julio then takes 8th. And that has been your IRL Season 8 F1 Round 4 race. Not a lot of drivers finished, only 8. But still an entertaining race for the final battle for the lead. And driver there is Michael Royce. I would have said Louis if he won, possibly. But yeah, I think I've got to agree with that. Michael Royce, driver of the day. But there he is. Matthew Alder takes the win. He lost the win last week to Louis, and he finally fights back, gets a win, and basically claims those 7 points back. And still in the lead of the Drivers' Championship. Matthew is on the title, on the step to way to the 3rd title right now. Cameron takes 2nd. He will really be happy with that, and very surprised he could have got the win. And Louis then takes 3rd place. And then here's your official results then. Matthew wins by 4/10 to Cameron in 2nd. Louis gets a surprising penalty in 3rd. Pedro 4th. Michael Royce 5th. Ryan in 6th. Spreen in 7th. Julio in 8th. Rafa, Gavin, Lucas Serra and Cornelius and Caden Forbes all DNF from today's race. Well then, I'll invite the top 3. As I send the invites. Oh, lovely. Sugar. Where's he at? There we go. Well then, top 3 have been invited. Well, I don't think anybody is actually going to join then. Well, we're going to end it here, folks, I think. Well then, this has been IRL Neon, or as Jared Fosbury. Done IRL F1 Season 8, round Zandvoort. The winners were Matthew, and then Cameron, and then Louis. We'll see you guys next time, and goodbye for now.